Number 15. Garfield the cat. When animals like cats are being kept as pets, it's vital that their owners keep an eye on how much food they're eating and don't let them overdo it. Without having to hunt for it themselves, it becomes almost too easy for them to overeat, and sometimes things get way out of hand. In 2012, after his owner died, Garfield the cat was taken into the North Shore Animal League of America in New York's Long Island. The staff there put the giant feline onto the scales, and he weighed in at an astonishing 38 pounds, by far the heaviest they had ever seen. The cat had been given a luxurious lifestyle by his previous owner and was fed only the finest of foods in huge quantities. Sadly for him, his diet was radically changed after being taken in by the Animal League, where a special regime was designed in an attempt to help him lose somewhere between 15 to 20 pounds, almost half of his total weight. Number 14. Bob the Hedgehog. Bob the Hedgehog has become somewhat of a celebrity in Japan, not because of any special talent or skill, but simply for being the fattest hedgehog in the country. His owner says he's like this because he insists on eating too much food, but surely there must come a time when you stop giving it to him. He lives at the Hedgehog Cafe, where guests can enjoy tea or coffee while being surrounded by the cute creatures. And if they're charmed enough, they can even pet them. However, there are serious concerns about the ethics of a place like this. Animal rights activists use Bob as an example of how harmful the cafe can actually be. For a hedgehog to reach this size and be so frequently exposed to humans isn't a natural life for these animals, and even though they might look happy, they most likely aren't. Number 13. Oshine the orangutan. As one of the species most closely related to humans, it's not surprising that orangutans can gain weight in much the same way we do. This becomes a particular issue for those kept in captivity, and Oshine is a perfect example. She was taken from the wild at a very young age and spent several years in a safari park in Indonesia before being adopted by a family in South Africa. They treated her like a human child, dressing her in clothes and feeding her sweets and processed foods, which soon caused her to gain an unhealthy amount of weight. Because she had never been around other orangutans, she began acting more like a person, even walking upright. By the time she reached adolescence, she had become too difficult for the family to handle. In 2010, she was taken to Monkey World in the UK, a sanctuary that cares for rescued primates. Since then, she has been placed on a strict diet to help her lose the extra weight, but it's a slow and gentle process that will take several years to avoid causing her unnecessary stress. Number 12. Squirrels are genetically wired to spend the summer months gathering and eating as much food as possible, so that by the time winter arrives, they're fully prepared for the scarcity ahead. However, if you live in North America or Europe, you might have noticed that squirrels seem to be getting bigger. Some even look like they've spent a little too much time raiding the pantry. Rather than being caused by overfeeding or greed, this is believed to be a side effect of climate change. Normally, squirrels gain weight at the end of summer and then burn it off during the cold months, when they rely on their stored fat to stay warm and survive. But in recent years, longer summers, an abundance of food, and milder winters have meant that by the time spring arrives, they still have much more body fat than usual. After yet another summer of constant eating, they appear noticeably larger. And this trend is expected to worsen as the planet continues to warm. Number 11. 747, the bear. If you ever visit the Brooks River in Katmai National Park, Alaska, you'll see plenty of grizzly bears, but none quite like 747, the true heavyweight champion of them all. Fittingly named after the jumbo jet, this massive bear is so large that his belly nearly drags across the ground. During one observation in 2018, he was seen devouring 15 full salmon in a row, an astonishing 67,000 calories in a single meal. It's normal for bears to pack on weight during the summer to prepare for hibernation, but 747 takes this to the next level. Thanks to his enormous size, he dominates the fishing areas, securing the best spots to feast even more. Researchers estimate that he may be up to 1.5 times larger than an average grizzly, making him officially the fattest bear ever recorded. Number 10. Cassie the Border Collie. Anyone who's ever owned a dog knows they'll happily eat almost anything they can find. And if you give in to their begging eyes too often, the extra pounds start to show. Cassie, a border collie from the UK, is an extreme example of this. Her owners had fed her a diet of takeout meals, roast dinners, and even chocolate. By the time she was 7 years old, she had spent her entire life eating human food, but it came at a heavy price. Cassie weighed a shocking 9 stone, 126 pounds, and began suffering from serious health issues. When her elderly owner fell ill, she was handed over to a canine care trust, and it took 3 people just to lift her. Fortunately, she was placed on a strict diet of 2 bowls of dry dog food per day, and in just 6 months, she managed to lose half of her body weight. Number 9. Goldfish. Goldfish are often seen as the easiest fish to care for in a tank, and are usually the first pets chosen by beginner aquarium enthusiasts. However, they have a tendency to keep growing and can quickly become overweight. There's a condition called dropsy that makes them look swollen, almost as if they're about to burst, but not all fat goldfish suffer from this illness. Being descendants of carp, they can grow far larger than the typical 10 or 11 inches seen in tanks. Since they'll keep eating as long as food is available, it's very important to feed them only small portions each day. If they gain too much weight, their bodies can become bloated. Their eyes might even be covered by fat. And sometimes they end up swimming upside down because their swim bladders stop working properly. Number 8, Mabel the pig. Mabel, a pot-bellied pig from Boston, isn't your average chubby pig. She had been overfed nearly her entire life. While pigs are known for eating almost anything and carrying some fat naturally, Mabel's condition was far beyond normal. When animal rescue officers finally removed her from her owner's home, she weighed an incredible 196 pounds, more than double her healthy weight. Her fat rolls were so large they completely covered her eyes, and she was so heavy she couldn't even stand up, leaving her depressed and immobile. Fortunately, she was rescued just in time. Officials had to use a backboard to lift her from the house, and she was taken to a nearby farm where she was placed on a controlled diet. There, she slowly began to lose weight and recover. As for her former owner, this wasn't the first case of animal neglect she was involved in, and authorities began legal proceedings to ensure she would never be allowed to keep pets again. Number 7. Darius the rabbit. How big is the largest rabbit you've ever seen? There are different breeds that naturally grow to differing sizes, but the biggest in the world is called Darius, who's a continental giant. Incredibly, he's 4 feet 4 inches long and weighs 49 pounds. And as you can imagine, taking care of an animal like this is no easy task. The family who owns him has another, which is almost the same size as well. According to them, it costs them more than $7,000 per year to feed them both. This includes 2,000 carrots and 700 apples, as well as a bowl of specialized rabbit food each day and a bale of hay every week. Luckily for them, it's perfectly healthy for this breed to grow to this size, but they won't get any bigger. Rabbits have a specific time window during which they bulk up, and once it's passed, they stay like that for the rest of their lives as long as they're fed a regulated diet. Number 6. Lion the hamster. Lion the hamster was naturally a chubby little creature, as hamsters often are when storing food in their cheeks. However, he became seriously overweight after living in a cage with too little exercise. Having a running wheel wasn't enough because not all hamsters use it frequently. In the wild, they bulk up when there's plenty of food to prepare for colder months when resources are scarce. But in captivity, with constant access to food, they put on weight very quickly. Lion, just 1 year old, became at least twice the size he should have been. Fortunately, his owners noticed in time and took steps to reduce his food intake, and he was still able to move and climb, something that many other hamsters in similar situations can't do. Number 5. Raccoon. While many people see raccoons as nothing more than pests, there are plenty who love these creatures and even keep them as pets. However, this must be done carefully because, just like any other animal kept in captivity, they can quickly gain a lot of weight if their diet and exercise aren't properly controlled. Pet raccoons face an extra challenge compared to cats or dogs since there aren't any specially formulated foods designed for them. In the wild, they are constantly active and eat food they've evolved to hunt, but in a household, they'll eat anything given to them, usually dog food. This food is made for a completely different species and doesn't provide raccoons with the specific nutrients they need. Combined with a sedentary lifestyle, they can soon become round as a ball, unable to walk properly, and have to drag themselves across the floor. Number 4. Kookaburra. Kookaburras are a species of tree kingfisher native to Australia and New Guinea. They live in a variety of environments where they hunt for insects, but unlike most of their kingfisher relatives, they don't spend much time near water. Growing up to 17 inches long and weighing around 10.5 ounces on average, their small bodies aren't built to handle excess weight. So if they overeat, they can develop serious health problems. A kookaburra recorded in 2017 was nearly twice the normal body size, and despite being shooed by the homeowner, it couldn't seem to fly away. According to them, the bird had hopped onto the balcony from a nearby tree, and the only way to return it to the forest below was by taking it down in the elevator. Perhaps this chubby bird could have flown on its own, but unsurprisingly, it preferred the easy ride home. In recent years, sightings of overweight kookaburras have become more common due to the abundance of leftover food around human areas, and unless garbage is managed more carefully, this trend will likely continue. Number 3. Great white shark. Great white sharks are the most ferocious predators in the ocean, capable of hunting almost anything they set their sights on. If you've ever gone cage diving with one, you'll know just how massive they can be, with larger individuals reaching up to 20 feet in length and weighing as much as 5,000 pounds. But they can get even bigger when they've found a massive source of food or are pregnant. One particularly gigantic great white was spotted in 2015 off the coast of South Africa, and she had clearly been feasting on local seals. While her length was typical for the species, her girth was far beyond normal. Divers estimated that she was heavier than 5,000 pounds, possibly much more. Her slow movements through the water suggested that she had surpassed her ideal size, almost as if she was struggling to swim. It's also very likely she was in the late stages of pregnancy, which could explain her lethargy. Either way, this was one shark no one would ever want to meet outside the safety of a cage. Number 2. Obi the Dachshund. There's no doubt that Dachshunds are one of the cutest dog breeds. With their long bodies, short legs, and various colors, it's impossible not to adore them. But like many dogs, they don't know when to stop eating, especially when fatty treats are always available. It's common to see overweight Dachshunds with bellies nearly dragging on the ground, which is dangerous for them because the breed is prone to spinal problems. One of the most famous cases was Obi, possibly the fattest Dachshund in the world for several years. He was owned by an elderly couple who couldn't walk him much and expressed their love through food. Unfortunately, that led to Obi ballooning to 77 pounds, nearly 3 times his ideal weight. Eventually, he could no longer stand or move, and realizing how serious it had become, his owners gave him up for adoption. A veterinary trainee adopted him and started a crowdfunding campaign to pay for his recovery. Through a strict diet and regular exercise, Obi lost 40 pounds and then underwent surgery to remove the excess skin. Today, Obi is at a healthy weight and looks like any other Dachshund, living proof that no matter how extreme an animal's obesity becomes, it's always possible to reverse it with care and effort. Number 1. Neville the pixie frog. American bullfrogs, also known as pixie frogs due to their scientific name, are large amphibians native to many African countries. They thrive in diverse habitats, from dry savannas and scrublands to lakes, canals, and ditches. However, those kept in captivity tend to gain far more weight than their wild counterparts. This happens because, in the wild, they eat whenever food is available, not knowing when their next meal will come. In captivity, they keep the same instinct, eating everything they're offered, but without the same need to move or hunt. Normally, these frogs weigh around 3 pounds, but in tanks, some have been recorded reaching 4 or even 5 pounds. Since they have little opportunity for exercise, they burn off very few calories, leading to extreme obesity. As a result, some become so overweight that they barely move to reach their food. When they do, they appear to struggle, rolling forward on their bellies rather than hopping like normal frogs.